Salutations everyone, this is Razor giving you guys another Overwatch video where today we're talking about Doomfist. Yes, he's been out for a while now and we've been starting to see his impact even at the highest levels of play. A lot of anticipation, a lot of waiting, a lot of expectations, and he seems to have filled them all, and even more so than many people might have been expecting. And it's really good to see a DLC character start out strong, which I think is the better way to approach things. I do apologize for this lackluster Doomfist gameplay. This was actually my very first time playing him in a full game, but it isn't competitive, and I do get some nice moments here and there. And what I mean by, it's nice to see, a DLC character start off well. When Ana first came out, not a lot of people, had the time or the patience to understand how good she was. So then she got a lot of buffs, and then she became the most important character in the game. By far, a whole meta was created around her sheer healing capability in the triple tank, and that ruled things for a long time, and she got reined in a little bit, and with the buffs to all the barriers in the game, she's seen some drops at the higher levels of competition, but is still one of the most used characters in the game at high levels of play and in professional play of Overwatch. And we had Sombra, she came out, she couldn't do a ton, but, the expectations and the thoughts about characters, they need to take some time before they fully get fleshed out, because even some of the best people out there are incorrect with information that they have, with opinions that they have, with predictions that they have. Remember when Sombra hadn't come out, but people had seen her kit, and some people played her, and they're like, oh, she's super overpowered, she's gonna break the game. Oh, Tracer? Who's Tracer? Sombra completely does everything Tracer does except way, way better. And then she came out, and she didn't do anything. She wasn't a high-impact player. She was difficult to use. Like Doomfist isn't like super-duper plug-and-play easy. But people didn't utilize her properly. They didn't know that you want to be farming her ults with her med packs. You don't want to have like two healers and Sombra there, because then someone's not getting their ults. And the sheer power of her hack ultimate and the fact that it can be used, defensively as well as offensively. You can like totally shut down a nano blade with just a hack. So that's like a 2-for-1 ult trade in the economy. And so, and then Sombra got some buffs, and then you started to see her impact in high levels of play a lot more. And then we have Orisa, who started off in the PTR, relatively strong and very fun to play, but then they nerfed her a couple of times before she even came out, and now she's looking to get buffs to her barrier and the speed of her projectiles, where in the PTR they nerfed the damage of the projectiles as well as the ammo capacity. So it takes way longer than players or Blizzard thinks it does to see how strong a hero is or how strong they should be. So with Ana, they overcompensated and made her too strong, and with Sombra and Orisa, they kind of made them too weak to begin with. And with Doomfist, you have a character that's super duper strong. He has that one-hit kill potential with his alternate fire. If you blast him, into the wall, as I try and fail to do here numerous times. And he's very cooldown dependent. He has some escape abilities. You don't want to use all of his abilities at once. He's, quite mobile. He's anti-dive. People, when they first saw Doomfist, it was like, oh, wow, another dive hero. But then people started using him more, and when he came out, it was like, he's actually not a dive hero. They actually nerfed him as well before he even came out in the PTR in the length that his punch could go. And they're looking into nerfing him again in the hitbox of his punch. So, the One Punch Man is really facilitated around what his one punch can do. And his hitbox on his rocket punch is insanely large, and I feel like that does need to be reined in a bit. I don't know if it's overkill, nerfing him so early, because he hasn't really had time. You know, he's only been out for a couple of weeks, so we don't actually know how strong he is. We have seen him in professional league of Overwatch, you know, even create some upsets, you know, being in comps that defeated teams that weren't losing or, you know, never even came close to losing. And now all of a sudden the Doomfist kind of throws a wrench in certain plans, and if you can play the Doomfist correctly, some crazy shit can happen. His ult is a little underwhelming because of just, you know, how easy it is to avoid, but compare, you know, you group that up with the Graviton and that could be, you know, supremely devastating. He's invulnerable during it, so, you know, there is a bit of a trade-off there, but most of his power is going to come from his mobility, his sheer just one-shot kill right there. That Tracer was at full health. She had her blink, she had her recall. Doomfist said, I don't care, I'm going to punch a fool, and not even the soldier with all of his infinite sprint can get away from me. You're ulting, I'm just going to punch out of there. So he's got a lot in his kit. He is a fun character to play. He is, I think, one of the most difficult characters to play. You know, a couple of that around when you consider the other DPSs like Genji and Sombra definitely out there. You can also boop a bitch with that punch as well, which is quite fun. And I've been on the business end of a couple of times. But his punch is one-hit kill capability. I know a lot of people say that it's counter to what they've been saying with the Roadhog nerfs. But when it comes to, you know, comparing these characters and their abilities, Doomfist is a DPS character. He has a huge hitbox. He's very cooldown dependent. He cannot heal himself. He does get some shields when he hits somebody, but not a ton, not a lot to make a lot of differences in many encounters. And he isn't super usable in every single map. On payload, he's not going to get a ton of use. In control and 2CP, you're definitely going to see a lot more Doomfist when it's close quarters, like Lijiang Tower, that I'm using him here, even in the garden stage, because, you know, it's all about controlling that capture point, and he can definitely do things that, say, like Genji or Tracer couldn't do when it comes to, like, breaking a wall at the choke. Say, like on King's Row, you know, you have your Orisa and your Torb there at the statue of Mandata, and then Doomfist can get in there, and if Orisa doesn't see it coming, and she already has some damage on her, he can knock her right into the statue and kill her, or take out the Torb, you know, and then run away while the enemy moves in, destroys the turret, and then Orisa is all by herself with a Mercy or something. So Doomfist can break in. He is a glass cannon. If he gets focus fired, he's one of the most vulnerable characters in the game. Huge hitbox. Oh, get out of here, Roadhog. We don't need none of that shit in here. Even though I booped Roadhog a couple of times, Roadhog is actually one of the strongest characters against Doomfist, even before he's going to get his buff that's been working on in the PTR with all of his take-a-breathers out there. Because Doomfist cannot do enough damage. He does really good burst damage and is amazing against squishies, but against a tank like Roadhog, especially one that can heal himself and has that hook, Doomfist loses the Roadhog 1v1 every single time if Roadhog knows that he's coming, or if Roadhog engages with the hook, because huge hitbox, so the spread of that scattergun is going to hit Doomfist every time. He's got the hook to, you know, prevent Doomfist from getting away, and this is before Roadhog, you know, gets his buff. So yes, his hitbox is a bit too big, and there I whiff on the Tracer. That was a do or I die. If I hit her, I live and she dies. If I miss, she lives and I die, and I missed. Even with that huge hitbox, I have been hit by Doomfists, and watching the kill cam, I'm not even on their screen and they're hitting me. Watching the kill cam, like, they don't even know that I'm there and they're hitting me, or they can't even see me and I'm getting killed. So I think that might be a bit of a problem. I don't think it should be reined in too much, but just have it, I don't know, the size of the screen so that you can't hit anybody that you can't see with an unidirectional attack like Rocket Punch. I think reining in his range was, you know, I didn't know how to feel about it first because I didn't play him, and, you know, I didn't have, you know, frame of reference to compare the changes, but just seeing the distance that it can travel right now, I feel like it's pretty good. You saw me in the previous point chase down a soldier that was running away, and I can still, you know, get out of dodge fairly easily. So I feel like his range is pretty decent the way that it is right now. And, oh, get hooked there, but I was saved by the teammates. So it is kind of nice. The more that you do damage, the more that you get kills, the more shields that you'll gain, and you'll get some sort of tankiness. And then with all of his abilities have movement to them. So as long as one of them is off of cooldown, you'll be able to get out of danger. So Doomfist is strong. He's clearly has a place in the meta. And with his one-hit kill ability and all of his movement and his ability to counter the strongest composition in the metagame right now, definitely has him fill a spot. But we've seen time and time again where characters don't get changes, or they got changes a long time ago and all of a sudden they get attention. All depends on what the meta is. Tracer hasn't gotten a single change in the entire game, but she only became insanely strong where people are calling her overpowered when dive became the meta. No one was saying that when it was all about death ball, when it was all about triple tank. But she hasn't gotten a single change, but just, you know, some changes to other characters and to how the meta is perceived has made her incredibly strong. Diva has always been a decent character. The change to her defense matrix seems like a small change, but it's actually one of the biggest changes in all of Overwatch, and all of a sudden the triple tank she became a mainstay in. Then she gets nerfed and everyone says, oh, she's garbage, don't play her. Then the Koreans are still playing her. They played dive while everyone else was playing triple tank to some success. And now everyone is catching up with the Koreans, and they never stopped playing Diva, and now everyone's like, oh, I guess we should play Diva now, even though, you know, she didn't get stronger after the nerf. You know, people are dropping and picking up characters when things haven't changed. You know, Junkrat got his buff months ago, and now you're seeing him at high levels of play, granted on teams that could have done great with a different DPS, but it all depends on how the meta shifts. Certain characters getting buffed makes other characters stronger because they counter that. Look at Winston, look at Pharah, look at Mercy and Orisa. A lot of that has to do with how they interact with other characters. So it's a little early to say that Doomfist is overpowered. That word is thrown a lot around through many video games. He is very strong, and it's good that he's strong, but maybe his hitbox is a bit too big to where it goes through over the size of your screen, but I don't think it should be something that gets the Roadhog hook treatment, because Roadhog is a tank, he's got a ton of health, and the hook can still get kills if you focus on him, while Doomfist, that ability is just for himself. He is squishy, he is vulnerable, and he isn't too strong right now because he just got out, and we still need to have a wait-and-see approach. There's a lot of testing needs to be done within Blizzard internally, within a PTR, within the metagame, and within high levels of competitive play. So it's a little too early to take him out of the equation. So let's just revisit things and look how everything can be done with every hero in all of their interactions before we make any rash decisions that can take him completely out of the game.